The Galactic Council prepared for a human attack. Instead, Ryder Osborn calmly sprinkled white crystals onto his meal, and every alien scanner declared a chemical emergency. The first contact banquet was designed to prove humanity had evolved beyond its primitive reputation. The Cherith, masters of diplomatic protocol, had prepared neutral nutrients from 57 allied worlds and removed every potentially aggressive substance from the chamber. Minister Calzils believed the evening would demonstrate that humans were simply another intelligent species seeking cooperation. Then Ryder Osborn placed 2 tiny glass containers beside his plate. The entire diplomatic hall went silent, because nobody knew why a human would bring unknown compounds into the most secure room in the galaxy. Cherith security specialists immediately scanned the containers, expecting medical equipment or emergency technology. Their systems identified the first substance as crystalline sodium chloride. To humans, it was ordinary table salt. To the Federation database, it represented a terrifying combination of reactive elements connected to industrial chemistry. The aliens had spent centuries studying weapons made from separated chemical components, and now a human diplomat was casually holding a concentrated supply. The scanners did not understand intention. They only understood danger. The first alarm echoed through the banquet hall. The situation escalated when the Federation Analysis Network calculated possible outcomes. Sodium was classified as a highly reactive metal, while chlorine was recognized as a dangerous chemical agent in many alien environments. Their conclusion was simple: the human was carrying a substance that should never exist near living organisms. Security officers reached for their plasma weapons as diplomatic observers backed away. Ryder Osborn noticed the panic but remained completely calm. The humans were not preparing an attack. They were preparing dinner. That misunderstanding would become the most famous biological incident in Federation history. Minister Cherith attempted to maintain diplomatic control while secretly ordering additional scans of the human body. The results created even greater confusion. Ryder Osborn showed no signs of poisoning, internal damage, or biological stress. His metabolism was functioning normally despite consuming a substance that several Federation species considered dangerous. The Council scientists searched their archives for similar cases but found nothing comparable. Deathworld biology had always produced unusual survivors, but humanity appeared to have transformed dangerous chemistry into everyday culture. Then the human opened the second container. The black particles inside the second glass container created immediate concern among the alien observers. Ryder Osborn crushed the grains over his meal, releasing microscopic particles into the air. A nearby Strikra diplomat inhaled a small amount and suddenly sneezed uncontrollably. The medical sensors detected irritation, respiratory reactions, and chemical activity. The Federation computers instantly classified the substance as a potential incapacitating agent. The room changed from diplomatic celebration to emergency response in seconds. The humans had introduced not one suspicious compound, but 2 unknown biological threats during peaceful negotiations. Security forces surrounded Ryder Osborn before he could take another bite. Plasma weapons remained lowered but ready, while the Council debated whether humanity had deliberately tested Federation reactions. Kane Bowman, the human security officer, stepped forward and refused to reach for his own weapon. He understood the danger of the moment. One wrong movement could turn a misunderstanding into the first human-alien conflict. But Ryder Osborn simply looked around the terrified chamber, picked up his fork, and tasted the supposedly lethal combination. The galaxy waited for the human to collapse. He only smiled. The silence that followed was more frightening than any weapon discharge. Ryder Osborn continued eating while every Federation sensor predicted biological failure. Minister Cherith expected convulsions, chemical burns, or emergency medical intervention. Instead, the human diplomat calmly requested water and asked why everyone looked terrified. The Council scientists immediately analyzed his physiology again, searching for the impossible explanation. They discovered that human digestive systems were not fragile machines designed for perfect environments. They were survival engines shaped by a brutal planet where adaptation mattered more than comfort. The Federation medical database had classified thousands of dangerous substances across the galaxy, but humanity created a new category: harmless human consumption. The scanners revealed that Ryder Osborn's body produced powerful digestive acids and maintained mineral balances through compounds other species avoided completely. To the Cherith scientists, it was an evolutionary contradiction. The humans were not immune because they were invincible. They survived because their ancestors constantly challenged their own biological limits. The Council had studied Deathworlders before, but humanity represented something far more unpredictable, a species that normalized survival itself. Calzils, the chief scientific advisor, ordered a complete analysis of the white crystals. The results shocked the entire chamber. The substance was not a weapon, not a poison, and not a hidden attack. It was simply seasoning. A word unknown in many Federation languages because most advanced species removed unnecessary chemical complexity from food. Humans did the opposite. They enhanced flavors with substances that triggered defensive responses in alien biology. Calzils recorded the discovery as a civilization-level anomaly. Humanity had created cultural habits that looked identical to chemical warfare protocols. The greatest confusion came from the black powder. Federation systems identified it as pepper, a plant-derived compound containing active molecules capable of irritating sensitive respiratory systems. The Strikra diplomat who had sneezed earlier was examined immediately, but the results showed no danger. The reaction was temporary and harmless. Yet the political consequences were enormous. If a simple human meal ingredient could trigger emergency protocols, what else had humanity considered ordinary? Military analysts began reviewing human technology with new caution. They realized their mistake. They had measured human weapons, but ignored human biology. Serena Patton, humanity's diplomatic science advisor, stepped forward to prevent further escalation. She explained that humans did not view food as merely fuel. Meals represented culture, memory, and survival. Salt preserved ancient food when civilizations struggled to survive. Pepper became valuable because humans crossed oceans and continents searching for resources. These substances were not symbols of aggression. They were reminders of endurance. The Cherith delegation listened carefully, but the emotional impact remained powerful. The aliens finally understood that humanity carried thousands of years of survival history into every ordinary action. Then the Council sensors detected something impossible. They compared human dietary records with military survival data and discovered a pattern. Human soldiers regularly operated in environments that would disable many Federation species. Their training included extreme conditions, limited resources, and biological stress. The same adaptability that allowed Ryder Osborn to eat dangerous-looking compounds also allowed human forces to survive impossible missions. The Federation had expected technological superiority from humanity. Instead, they discovered something harder to counter, a civilization whose greatest weapon was the ability to adapt faster than anyone could predict. The diplomatic crisis slowly transformed into a strategic revelation. The Federation had spent centuries creating perfect environments for intelligent life, eliminating risks and controlling variables. Humanity had evolved on a world where risks were unavoidable. Kane Bowman explained that humans did not search for danger, but they learned from every challenge they survived. The Council leaders looked again at the small containers on the table and saw something different. The salt and pepper were no longer chemical threats. They were symbols of a species that turned adversity into strength. And the galaxy had only begun discovering what humans considered normal. The revelation should have ended the crisis, but the opposite happened. Federation security systems continued analyzing human dietary patterns and discovered thousands of similar examples. Spices, fermented foods, stimulants, and preserved ingredients created a growing list of substances that appeared dangerous from an alien perspective. The Council Emergency Committee demanded answers. If humans casually consumed chemical compounds considered hazardous, how could anyone predict their limits during conflict? Minister Cherith faced the uncomfortable truth that humanity's greatest advantage was not a weapon system or military fleet. It was biological flexibility built over generations. The Federation medical team approached Ryder Osborn with caution, carrying advanced diagnostic equipment designed for unknown biological emergencies. They expected to find hidden damage caused by the strange substances, but the scans revealed something even more confusing. His body had processed the meal efficiently, using the minerals for normal physiological functions. The human diplomat looked at the worried scientists and laughed gently. He explained that many humans added even stronger flavors to their meals, including hot peppers that created intense sensations. The aliens did not understand whether humans were brave, reckless, or simply impossible to intimidate. The situation reached the Galactic Council Military Division when analysts connected the discovery to interstellar warfare doctrine. Species across the Federation designed equipment around biological limitations. Their ships, habitats, and strategies assumed predictable vulnerabilities. Humanity did not fit those models. Their engineers built systems for extreme conditions because their own planet demanded constant adaptation. Their fleets carried redundancy because humans expected failure and prepared solutions before problems appeared. The Council realized they had misunderstood human civilization completely. Humans were not powerful because they avoided danger. They were powerful because danger was already part of their history. A final test was ordered by the Council. They presented Ryder Osborn with a controlled selection of Federation foods and asked him to identify anything unusual. The human immediately noticed missing flavors, describing the meals as technically efficient but emotionally empty. The aliens were confused until Serena Patton explained that humans connected memories to taste. Every spice represented exploration, survival, and generations of experience. The Council finally understood why the simple containers mattered. Humanity had not brought weapons into the banquet hall. They had brought a piece of their entire civilization. The official Federation report changed everything. The incident was no longer classified as a biological threat but as the first documented case of cultural misunderstanding between species with completely different survival philosophies. However, the military implications remained impossible to ignore. If humans could transform ordinary environmental challenges into advantages, their enemies would struggle to predict them. The strategic balance of the galaxy shifted overnight. Fleets began studying human adaptation methods, and commanders questioned centuries-old doctrines. The smallest meal in diplomatic history created the largest change in military thinking. Months later, the Galactic Council issued new protocols regarding human interaction. Alien facilities received special training about human food, human humor, and human habits. The first rule became famous across hundreds of worlds: never assume a human object has the same meaning in another civilization. A simple container could contain medicine, tradition, or something completely ordinary. Cherith personally recorded the warning that changed diplomatic procedures forever. Humans did not need to threaten the galaxy to make an impact. They only needed to behave naturally and let everyone else discover how unusual normal humanity truly was. Years after the banquet, Federation historians still called it the salt and pepper incident. The event became the moment the galaxy accepted a terrifying and fascinating truth: humanity was a death-world species that converted survival into culture. Ryder Osborn never intended to demonstrate dominance, but his simple meal forced entire civilizations to rethink their assumptions. The galaxy had searched for humanity's greatest weapon and found something far stranger. Humans did not carry danger because they wanted conflict. They carried resilience because their world had demanded it. The Federation would never see a human meal the same way again. The galaxy feared the human carrying mysterious chemicals, but the truth was far stranger: Ryder Osborn was only eating dinner. If you would still add salt and pepper after hearing this story, comment "spices" below. Subscribe to Humanity's Vanguard, HFY and Sci-Fi stories, because next time the Federation will discover what happens when humans drink a simple carbonated beverage.